talking about a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
but
it's my favorite topic.
We're going to go all over the board, including you're a mover, you're a shaker, but you're also a diver. So tell us, what does maritime archaeology mean? Like, what do you do?
So my career, I wanted to be an archaeologist since I was 5 years old. And basically, I used to go fossil hunting with my dad out in the Southwest. Even though I'm from Brooklyn, we used to go out there, see family, and I would dig for fossils. And at the time, I just kind of associated digging in the dirt with archaeology because of Indiana Jones, even though technically dinosaurs and fossils are paleontology. And then in grad school, I had declared it in freshman year of college. And then in grad school, someone offered me a paid position in maritime archaeology in a project. And at the time, as a grad student, as most grad students know, I would have taken anything paid. It could have been anything. And it just happened to be studying slave trade ship archaeology. So maritime archaeology kind of just came into my life, and I never looked back because I realized that diving was so extraordinary. It just opened my life completely outside of my profession as well, in so many ways. I feel like most people don't understand that 3/4 of the planet is covered in water, and they don't get to experience that. And so for me to be so blessed to know what that feels like, and to experience that, I feel so blessed to be able to have that in my life. And actually, one of the reasons COVID is scaring me so much is because nobody had said, no one's even connected it to scuba diving. Why the fuck would they? But a friend of mine mentioned the other day, I was like, I kind of wish I'd just get it over with. This is kind of before we knew younger people were really getting it serious. And he was like, Justine, you don't even smoke pot. You don't want anything in your lungs. You dive. This is like your thing. Like, why would you want to encourage getting a lung disease? And it, like, obviously I'm not encouraging it, but like I hadn't made that connection between my career of diving, also with the underwater yoga thing, which I'm sure you'll bring it up at some point, but it's like most of my life is like geared underwater. And so the idea that like this disease could not only take away lives and livelihoods and like all the things that it's doing already, it's just like another layer of my like thinking about it. It's like, if I live through this and then I can't go over underwater ever again, maybe, like that's just like devastating to me because that doesn't even like feel possible in my head, but it is a possibility. So the reality of it, I guess.
And the idea of exploration is so intriguing because right now there's no option to go on outings, but I've been thinking about this idea of innings. And of course it has a winning connotation, like a baseball game. And it's been a lot more infinite than I would have expected. I suppose I've always been immersed in my own thoughts and ideas, and I'm kind of like in my head kind of person. Like I only signed up for pop culture a few years ago in my adult life. So has there been something about this time that's made you rethink how you want to be spending your time in being this like maritime archaeologist, underwater yoga, everything you're a loving human that you are?
That's a really good question. I think one of the things I've realized is, and I know this, and we've talked about this as people who do like wear a lot of different hats. It's like, how do you focus on just one thing and do it really, really well? And so for 12 years, I did archaeology full time, and then I realized when I took a year off to take care of someone in my family, I realized how stressful that existence was, like working for poverty level pay and working Wall Street hours. Like it just wasn't sustainable. And then I shifted into underwater yoga, siren yoga is what it's called. And for me, I had discovered yoga and meditation through this experience of taking care of my grandma because it like helped me kind of center myself again. And I was like, oh, this feels like an idea that I've had. No one's ever done it before. And that feels like a good thing to pursue. But I never really thought it was my end all either. But something that I thought needed to be done. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. But then with all this stuff going on, the last few years also, I've been producing events and helping friends do a number of projects because for me, like the biggest gift that I can give is actions with love. And if I can provide value to someone I care about, like that's what's the most important thing to me. So as it turns out, this, we're streaming on Twitch right now, Stimulus TV. Somehow it became that. Like, that's what it is. My brother called me up and was like, my team, we're developing this thing for the pandemic. We want to be able to create funds for charity, and we want to find a way to make people get some money in their pockets because everyone's having a hard time. And so for me, it was like, oh, this is what I've been building my network for. Let's get these people on the air. And so so people out there on Instagram Live, we're on Twitch because this is a great way for you to donate to people offering their services and their gifts to the world and to charity at the same time. So you watch over there when they stream live, and you get them, some of the much needed funds that, because right now we don't know how long this is going to last. And so anyway, going back to your question, this kind of feels like it could potentially be bigger than just what's happening right now. Oh, I wish I had a drink. That's a good idea.
Rosé and
nice.
Mango sparkling water.
Ooh, yummy. I actually
from Sanzo, Asian founded company.
Amazing. And you're drinking it in that beautiful chair. I love that chair. You're in a tiny home, right? You look really adorable.
In a tiny home built by my friend Bethany Halbrig. It's Going Tiny, Living Large is the Instagram handle. Nice. And it's like I was made to be isolated in a tiny home. I mean,
interesting.
So how the heck did I get anything done in the past? Like, there was so much to do out. And I'm not like a FOMO-esque person by any means. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't suffer from fear of missing out too much.
Right.
I really like to lay in bed and listen to a podcast unless there's a compelling dance party.
Right. True crime podcast all the way.
But how the heck did I get anything done in real life? Because I am so overextended already. In the best possible way.
Yeah, it's the same. I'm like, I'm in a coaching program, as you know, with Layla Martin, also for sex, love, and relationship coaching for the next year. And I haven't done that in, don't tell Layla, weeks, because I've been focusing so much on stimulus, because this feels like the thing to focus on right now. And even though with that, there's like so many different streamers and it's like this giant jigsaw puzzle, it's really nice to have something to focus my brain on that's helping people and helping people I love. And so that's kind of where my mind is at, but I totally feel you. I think Zoom fatigue is going to be a word after this, like a phrase, because I've stopped going to group Zooms at this point because I was having FOMO in the beginning when I was like kind of depressed and I was in self-isolation before I moved in with my dad again. And I was just like, I'm not up to any of these right now. Like there's too many things going on. I feel like I'm missing out on all of them. So if I just blanket cut them all out, I don't have to worry about that feeling,
I pick and choose, and I realize that there's something about the virtual interaction where you have to channel you have to do this more. You have to
you're like, hi.
Put more effort into being empathetic and a listener and paying attention to all the virtual stuff. And my friend the other day told me that he was on a conference call where somebody stood up totally butt naked on the bottom half of her body and went to the bathroom and thought she was on
off
camera. The camera was off on camera, and people, like the moderators of the event were like trying to get in touch with her to stop the show from going.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. I did wear pants in case that happened, for the record.
Our friend Jared Matthew West does the Touch Point Gathering, which is definitely a favorite of mine, something that I still
tomorrow
go
night.
To, where somebody said that she did a live sex exhibit, she video cammed her having sex to the world, and that was another dimension of one's sex life that now is so the
digital.
The possibilities in this virtual world are endless.
Yeah, I did read a few articles about how whatever the cam girl website is like exploded in the last 2 months because everyone's suddenly like, shit, how do I make money? Fuck. and they're all going online.
And then of course, so you came to my Love in the Time of Corona, Love, Sex, and Dating, how to make dating to find your person fun workshop and virtual speed dating.
That's right.
So that's been a big passion, project of mine. that has kicked me in the ass and taught me so much, including getting me in this muscle memory that, ta-da, I'm talking to a person who is the most fully formed person for me that I've ever met. So love life is taking off, and it's fine. Like,
that's amazing. I love that.
So what did you think of the workshop? Like, what are your, because you are very much thinking about all the things, like what are you going to act upon? And
well, it's interesting. I was curious. I don't remember. Have you done it before, these two that you did on Zoom? You haven't, right?
So here's what happened. When on March, just to update you on my mental state and emotional well-being. When the first stock market dive happened on March 9th, I believe, that Monday, I happened to be hosting an event for 90 plus people on the Moxie East Village rooftop, a whole thing about scaling cool, and had panelists and support Women's Month. I mean, basically like
your normal weekday night. Yeah. Okay.
And also like, oh well, Women's Month, everything was canceled. So I knew that, but I was like, all right, we're in for a doozy. Like, I was like, okay, I graduated during 2008. Everything that I give a damn about, culture, cuisine, and connection, cuddle puddles, cocktails, like, boom,
all the snuggles.
And then one of my clients is a chef who's an award-winning chef with multiple spots, and we had a chat, and it just was so depressing. I'm in these communities of people in restaurants, travel, and hospitality. It is. So I was extremely depressed for 2 weeks. And when I finally decided to come to LA to shelter instead of staying in New York, based on, you have these images of like the medieval times and the Black Plague and how when people are squished together, it's not a good thing. So my birthday was on March 19th. That was the day that they shut down LA. And oh my gosh, like I cried, like just the days surrounding my birthday. Felt like my mom, who passed away last year, was coming back from the dead, being like, Leiti, stay home, do not drink too much. Like, it was like, thanks, Mom. God,
yeah, that's exactly a mom thing to say. I'm sure she did say it.
She's like probably really happy for you right now.
I'm sure she is. She's seen you thrive, love. I mean, look at you in quarantine. Like, you're making so many things happen. Like the rest of us can only dream.
Minimalist makeup. But also yesterday, I side note, did have one of those like moments where I freaked out and I cut my own nails for the first time.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like in years, but then I was like, no. But then the shit, like,
yeah.
So started to get inspired by nail art online. Anyway, I am just like everyone else. Like, I had this whole like creative. I went down the rabbit hole with Michelle Lee, the makeup and beauty blogger. So
nice.
So fast forward to now, the last 3 weeks, I did one of those. I thought about, look, my coach Lauren Zander. She works with Questlove and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, she's a badass.
She called me because she could tell I was spiraling into deep dark depression, and she said, hello, like, don't forget to play. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, I see. All right, I know the stuff out there is serious and hard, and there's death and there's pain, and everyone's like out of a job. But once I started playing, I realized, well, and watched a little bit too much Love is Blind.
I haven't seen it. I hear everyone's obsessed with it though. It's like that and Tiger King.
It's so, watch it.
Okay.
Watch it. I want to know what you think.
Yeah.
And it's like we were all much lonelier than we even realized before this. So why not take this time to do the practice of connecting? And then so the first workshop and virtual speed dating, more like 100 people signed up in 48 hours. I filled the gap of, we needed more men, so I filled the gap of 30-something men in like 12 hours. I mean, it really like killed me. But also what was great is that like it taught me to work for that abundance, because I was like, okay, well, they think I'm like past crushes, like what men who seem like they are gonna be all right to put into the nobody that I know.
We love you, man.
no, but just like the good ones. And so So the first one was more of a success than I even expected. People wanted to chat to me afterwards. People wanted to connect with each other. People wanted to debrief, provide feedback. People said, when's the next one? So we did the second one. And then this time around, I was able to share some of my own stories from the front lines of dating while in quarantine.
Yeah. So yeah, I would like to, I mean, if you're willing to share right now, I'm love an update on that.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it feels good.
What's been your dating life like in quarantine? Like what?
They're all watching. I can't talk about.
They're all watching?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Or am I? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just got really, really red because maybe they are watching. I say they as a joke. I know that you're watching. Yeah. There was someone I was seeing.
Tune in, right?
Yeah.
We're about to drop some
truth bombs.
Hot tips, secrets.
Right. Well, yeah, it's interesting because I think that for me, I am, this is truth bomb. I was seeing someone very, very new right before I had to leave LA. It's funny because you and I swapped. You were in New York and then we were bye on the plane. And you ended up in Topanga and I'm in Brooklyn again. And, so it was so new. And it was suddenly I was okay, I think I have to leave tomorrow and not come back for fuck knows how long. And that was it. And now, we FaceTime pretty often and, it feels really nice to have someone to lean on right now. He's also the most positive person I've probably ever met in my life. And it's so infectious.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really infectious. Because I'm someone who tends towards depression. It's something that I've dealt with most of my life, which is one of the reasons I loved living in LA because I noticed for the first time that I wasn't experiencing that. Which is a really significant feeling for me when I finally pinpointed why I was everyone's you seem so happy all the time. And nobody says I'm unhappy, but it was an extra layer, I guess. I think I hide it pretty well. I guess if that's the right word for it, or I function really well with it, maybe is better. But so to have someone just to kind of share what's going on and, but at the same time, I feel also drained because, and this is not just with any romantic people, it's just even with friends, it's you're catching up and it's so what's new in your Groundhog Day? It's not much is, aside from maybe this project that we're talking about with stimulus, everything else for me is kind of on hold at the moment. And it just feels I'm draining their time and I don't not being this bright, glowy, interesting, exploring, doing all the things person, because that's just, I'm not used to not being that person. And I have issues with my, I don't know if an identity crisis is the right word, but I definitely have had that before when I transitioned careers. But it's will people even like me or want to be around me or talk to me if I'm not this person that everyone thinks that I am all the time? It's so being in quarantine where those things aren't happening. And I'm not saying my friendships are that superficial; they're incredibly deep. But it's still things that that I have to catch myself when I say them to myself, because I just worry that suddenly I'm boring or I don't have anything interesting to offer. It's just these are things that go through my mind. Maybe it's my depression. Maybe it's just the way that I've always internalized things. I've gotten so much better at taking myself out of that narrative, but I still have that, especially now when I'm back living at home. When I was so close to living out of the house again, I was in LA and it was great. So anyway, so just in general, I'm finding the FaceTimes and the catching up with people, whoever they are, just because we don't know how long this is going to last, right? So it's is this a worthy investment of their time with me with my time? Because when is the next time we're going to see each other? But at the same time, I miss these people so desperately, and I keep saying, and my sister keeps yelling at me because she's like, you're going to spread everything again. And I'm like, whatever, I'm going to fucking kiss everybody I see. I don't fucking care. Like, I'm going to hug and kiss and hold and snuggle and everybody. I just, that's like the only thing that I want right now, you know?
Yeah, and also when are we gonna, the idea of sidling up to a bar and having a perfectly made cocktail where you just appear and then the chef comes with like the dish and it's hot and you didn't have to like
oh man,
yes. But I wanna bring it back to this idea of like, well, what do I have to even talk about? I find that in real life gatherings, I can be like we relate. We're much more introverted than people expect us to be because of just like how, sort of bubbly and we are positive and we're friendly and we have big smiles. But I would say maybe just because I'm kind of like, I don't mind having a heart-to-heart on via digital communications.
Yeah.
But I found that it's been so much nice time to dive in, even with, so someone asked, let me go back. So 906 Dre asked, how do you even do that? And, what I've been doing with my, so before I met this person, I was going on, I was actually dating, like, as normal. But the first date would be equivalent to what I would have done pre-corona, where I would vet people on like a 15-minute FaceTime or video call, choose, pick your poison, because like, why would I want to go to dinner or even drinks or a coffee?
Time is so valuable.
Right? So instead, that's just been, the heart-to-heart conversation on a video call has been, it's been like this time that we would have never had. And I just had my coaching session this morning, and she suggested that we go through the Handel Group's interview program, where it has all of the questions that you would be asking yourself and then asking the other person in the getting to know, your potential person and figuring out whether that person's your person or not. Because if not, all good, but if so, then to strengthen that, it's almost like doing therapy before you need it, like couples therapy before you need it, or like in functional medicine where you eat right and you don't get sick.
Right, preventative.
And you don't fix this sickness. So why don't we treat our love lives the way we treat our career lives and in our like health, right?
People are so worried about doing the wrong thing or like not playing the game right, and I'm totally on your page. I agree 100%. Jumping into the right deep questions in the beginning makes the most sense to me because time is super valuable for both people, I assume. Certainly for me. Two, I think, I'm not sure what Lauren's questions are, but I imagine they're probably similar to that New York Times experiment, the like 36 questions that like so there's an experiment and the writer like did it and fell in love with her husband, whatever it is, but you like stare in someone's eyes for 4 minutes and then you go through the series of 36 questions together and you like ask each other them. And it's like at the end of the 4 minutes and the questions, at the end, you're like supposedly in love with somebody, like, if everything jived. And the woman who wrote the article about it fell in love with her husband the night they did it. And it was like 20 years later when she wrote the article about it. And it was like, so it's like this thing on the New York Times. I've done it. I definitely fell in love that way once a couple of years ago. And then I did it more recently in the last year. And I definitely realized why me and that person should not be together. But I ignored it. I ignored the feeling, but it still was definitely there. So
the questions have to be, and like, so there's these two, so there's all this like, oh my gosh, like how come people don't follow through or follow up or like, but really it's a vetting process. We have limited time to sift through to get to the one, and not everyone can be your wholehearted fit. And
for sure.
If we can do the vetting more quickly, and then it makes it okay when people aren't a fit.
Yeah, it's totally fine. It's just faster. that they're not.
Everyone's hot. Like,
yeah, everyone's fucking beautiful.
Like,
yeah, totally.
I could, I'm a.
Yeah.
And this person, I actually before we haven't caught up since the workshop. So before the workshop, I workshopped. I developed the content with him the night before so that I could Also, I didn't want to be like, hey, here's our laundry. I barely know you, but we're really,
Quarantine brings out weird activities in people's relationships, is my guess.
Let me just tell 84 people about you. But I gave him the heads up, and I asked what was it about the way that we started talking? We talked for 30 hours in a week.
Wow.
The first week we met. So
that's amazing. That's a full-time job.
Yes, and I also did other things too. I promise. I've been doing.
Oh, I believe you. That's what I'm saying. You're Wonder Woman over there.
I barely have time to cook and eat. I'm I forgot about lunch. So he said that he loved that we were default honest from the first conversation, and that I was asking thoughtful questions that he would ask in the finding of the epic partner for love and in life. And I had spent so many years kind of putting myself, making myself a smaller version of myself, whether personal or professional life. And my magical superpower is in asking questions. And then as well now I realize in telling stories. So to be seen for that and be appreciated for my very good questions is I'm so, I can't even, and also, I could, when this person answers, is his answers are someone inserted I wrote down head, heart, and hoo-ha, what I want.
Oh, right, yeah, that's
person,
right.
Head, heart, and hoo-ha.
Yeah.
All of it has to be 999.
They better be fucking lined up. It's like a chakra.
Exactly.
Gotta be aligned.
And so when he when all his responses are it's like someone took my Google Doc and put it in a floppy disk form and inserted it. And that's when I started to realize, by the way, what the hell? This is really reality. This is surreal. Again, I've been single for over 7 years.
I know it's a similar feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you've been
No, but I was single from when I was 24, my last serial monogamy boyfriend, and then until I was 29. I chose to be single, and then it became a thing where I was don't get close to me. I don't want anyone to know me. Get the fuck away from me. Because I was so afraid by that point that I I was so walled off. So I feel you.
So 29 was when you broke up with your last...
No. I was single from 24 to 29. Met someone when I was 29. We dated for 6 months. My grandma got sick with cancer. It was just really bad timing. He pops into my life every now and then, just is this right again? Is the timing better? And then just never turns out to be. But I always kind of trust the universe, and that's why everyone's oh, are you sad you don't have a baby yet, or you're not married? I'm I want those things, obviously, but I'm not pushing it beyond the things that I need to do. I'm just trusting that person will be there when it's time. But yeah, so this is Mark, and then my last boyfriend last year, for on and off the last year.
Okay, so you haven't had a chunky thing in a while.
No, no, but there was a good 6 years or whatever it was. 5 years.
A good 6. That was your one big thing.
Yeah, I have no relationships at all. Yeah.
And was that person one of the loves of your life, or just a big learning experience? Oh,
you mean no. So single for the 6 years, and then after that, yeah.
Okay. So no. Would you say no loves of your life yet, or?
No, I thought that person who brought me out of that 6 years of being single, however long it was the person. And I think it was more just he taught me that I could be loved again, or that I was deserving of love again, and what it felt like to be romanticized and cared for. And it prepped me for going into taking care of my Nana. So I will forever be grateful for him showing me those feelings in that time frame, because I really thought I was undeserving. I was at that point, 6 years of being single, I was just oh, you're supposed to be married, you're supposed to be this, whatever. And so I'm very, very blessed that I had that experience with him. So I always thought he was it. And then last year, I was, led to believe that the person and I were, it was going to be more than it is or was. So now I'm just kind of, I don't like to play games. Like I like to tell people how I feel about them. And if that's too much, then clearly they're not my person, because the person that I want to be with is not intimidated by that or by feelings. But I'm also not, I'm trying to not like think ahead of what it is, especially right now. Like with this, it's like, when am I going to see this person again right now? I'd like to, obviously. But thinking too far ahead now is just like not the move. And I do that very easily. So it's just something that I'm catching myself trying to do.
It's the fun part about communication. The use of communication is, so we had this discussion. It is a delicate thing. Like the people who are just like, you want to break quarantine with me? You're like,
yeah.
No. Also, you're a dumb penguin. And
yeah.
penguins, because we can't talk about evolutionary biology.
Right.
That's politically incorrect right now, because we want all of everybody's to survive. Like we care about humans. We're not Trump. We're not trying to reopen the economy, but I'm like, no. Like if there's someone w's like a dumb penguin, they're promiscuous sexually too. We're like, no, like I mean, it's okay to like they're unsafe.
It is, but we're all having those feelings, but we're not going to act on it. But like the people who are saying it out loud, dumb penguins. Keep it to yourself.
Yeah. So we had this negotiation to figure out the logistics of meeting up, because right now I'm getting to know a person I've never met before.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
There's also kind of like, Leiti would do something like that, It's
That's what happened to me last year. My boyfriend I was talking about last year, he flew me out to LA, and he after meeting online for 3 weeks.
What?
Yeah. We met over Instagram.
What, you met what?
We met over Instagram. We had like a lot of mutual friends in common. It suddenly went so fucking deep, like within 3 weeks. And he was like, "It's my birthday next week. You should come out and we should meet." And then that's,
So who slid into whose DMs?
Well, it's funny because I actually, I was having a friend engage for me, like on my account, because I have a few work accounts, and they followed him randomly, and I was like, that's weird. Why does this person know everyone I know? Who is he? Have we ever met before? And then he was like, you look really familiar. So I DM'd him, and he was like, you look really familiar. Have we met at the Burn, perhaps? And I was like, I'm going this year for the first time. And then we realized we had time traveled when we went to the Burn this year together, that we had in fact met at the Burn. So longer story, but yeah. So
speaking of the Burn canceled, not surprising.
Not surprising. I know. I expected it. I wanted them to, but I'm still in mourning. And everyone else who's ever been a Burning Man, I understand. We talk about it all the time, but I'm in mourning.
Let's I want to touch upon this, because to me, what I love to do is to bridge the gap between insider and outsider in the best way possible, because the word outsider is not a bad word. It just means that like you don't want to be that douchebag in life where you're so insider that you can't even explain stuff to the outside. It's just called being a communicator, right? For sure. It's called being a human being. So to me, just here's what's going on. We're here. We had to stock up for ourselves. We had to prep. We had to be radically self-reliant. Radical self-reliance, one of the 10 principles of Burning Man, this city that pops up in the middle of the desert.
Right.
What, like, how many people, like, was
80,000? They capped it at 80.
80K. Okay, so 80K people in the desert, boom, for like 10 days. All right. So I feel like the best, okay, first of all, this whole thing has given me this crazy confidence, because I didn't, I had stopped driving a lot. I had stopped, like, really setting up like a capsule home life. Living in New York, it's so easy to, and living in Mar Vista, coming to LA once a month or so. My sister lives in Mar Vista. I go to Alana's Coffee Roasters. Like, it's a 3-minute walk away from her place. It's glorious. I love it. So, like, just everything's so set up. You don't have to make your own coffee. You don't have to do anything for yourself. You don't have to do your own. You don't have to do anything. So, I got the confidence to create this. I mean, creating this life for myself alone, like, holy moly, it is the closest thing to it in my life before was, like, it's gonna make me, like, I have to couch this. I'm not like a, you know, life is okay, life is good, but
yes, I
was
know,
setting up a tent all for myself to, like, survive in the desert, you know, that's
what
quite
we're
a
doing.
shopping list.
Yeah.
And then you wonder, like, you know things about yourself. You're like, well, that year I bought too much trail mix and not enough sake, wine, beer, and coconut water. And you're like, you figured these things out. So
that's exactly what's happening right now.
Burning Man has come to life, and so now we can all relate with each other.
Yes.
Isn't that great?
I think this is, we're living, I mean, if you're someone who actually lives by the Burn principles, then this is what we're doing every day right now. Even just the fact that we have dust masks and supplies to donate to hospitals and, you know, all the things.
It's very, very, it's a big mind F.
Yeah.
So what is your career tribe? Scientists and divers and all these nerdy people who work on shipwrecks. Yeah. What's cool amongst them? Like, if I'm going to a cocktail party to hang out with your friends in the business, like I don't know, what's hot? Like, what's being discovered? Like, what's top of mind? How do I, like, immediately be very, very, very in the know?
Oh, that's so interesting.
Conversationally, dinner party.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because most of them will actually probably just try to impress you with cocktail trivia about history. That's usually what happens.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one that I always remember is that, did you know that King Tut was buried with 7 pairs of underwear, like one for every day of the week? But, like, you know,
really?
I have a colleague who just, like, off the top of his head, just, like, spouts them out, you know? Yeah, I mean, it could get pretty tech heavy, you know, like photogrammetry and mag survey, you know, like the tools that we use running on the boat. But, like, you know, for me, I run a youth program in the summers, which is unclear if it's going to happen this year. We just canceled our one in Costa Rica for our Costa Rican kids in May. But you know, I like to talk about youth education and public outreach, and a lot of my colleagues like to as well, because traditionally the field has been very insular, and most academics they are worried about who's stealing whose research, and they don't want to tell anyone what they're doing, and then they never publish anything because things take so long to do and to write up, and the data analysis is so, you know, thick to get through. So it's like it just sits in people's basement, and so now there's kind of a revolution in, like, okay, well, who are we actually doing this for? And so those are kind of the conversations that you'll likely have with someone about, like, if we're not doing this for the general public to teach and to educate, like, why are people going to care about saving these things? You know, people get why they have to save the pyramids. So I used to have a YouTube channel called Archaeoventurers, where I used to do, I know.
We're going to do a show where you do that stuff, bring the chefs in, and then we're going to be, like, on a boat or in the desert, just, like,
I love it.
You know, I love it. Right? And then you coming on my show is like me doing my magic, like my interviewing and translating of your world.
That's right. And I'll eat and be happily.
I'm going on a dive trip with you.
I love for you to come diving with me. Do you have your dive certification?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you have your dive certification?
I did like a lightweight version in Thailand in the Krabi area.
Got it.
Nice. And it's just, that's real too. That's the thing. It's like there's outings and then there's innings, and somehow going underwater is a little bit like a very intimate experience where you're in your own thoughts.
It's incredibly meditative. That's why I thought of underwater yoga, and I was like, why has no one ever done this before? Diving is literally the most meditative thing I've ever experienced. So for me, it was like a natural, like, transition of the element into something else that is very meditative, like yoga.
So how do you do underwater? Tell me, like, how you take people.
For sure. So I'm just going to say, for the Twitch feed, Leiti and I have to go because I am the timekeeper on Twitch, because I want to make sure that our channel is on time for everybody. So thank you guys. I hope you donate to Leiti and watch all the shows. There's charity donations also below the feed. So Corey, you can sign us off on there, and Leiti and I will stay on Instagram Live. But this has been such a pleasure.
little spring cleaning. I'm always too busy dreaming. Well, maybe I should wake up instead. A lot of things I regret, but I just say I forget. Why can't it just be easy? Why does everybody need me to stay? Oh, I hate the feeling when you're high but you're underneath the ceiling. Got the cards in my hand, I hate dealing. Yeah. Get everything I need and I'm gone, but it ain't stealing. Can I get a break? I wish that I could just get out my goddamn way. What is there to say? There ain't a